Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start. So we're supposed to solve the equation negative 6 times 10 to the 9 minus 6x equals negative 2. Use, and I don't know why. I think there's something cut off there. To approximate the solution to 3 decimal places. If you didn't do 3 decimal places somewhere on the quiz, I probably dinged you a little bit. It was supposed to be 3 decimal places no matter what. Okay. All right. The first thing I have to do is I have to get this 6 to the other side. So I'm just going to rewrite it. And you guys, the steps of these problems are identical every single time. So if you practice, you should know the steps. Okay? Even if you practice the same problem over and over, you should know the steps. All right, I'm going to start by dividing both sides by negative 6. Some of them, there was one version that it divided really nice, and then the other two versions were fractions. And I'm just going to leave it as a fraction. What happens with that double negative? Positive. It doesn't matter if I leave it 2/6 or if I leave it 1/3. Your choice. I'm going to leave it 2/6 just to show you that I'm going to use the calculator to do that work for me. Okay? All right, so all I've done is taken the number in front and divided it over. You have to remember to do that. Because my x is in the exponent, that's the indicator that I need to use logs to solve. So I'm going to take the log of both sides. So log of 10 to the 9 minus 6x equals log of 2/6. It doesn't matter that that's a fraction, okay? Let it be a fraction, that's okay. Letting you catch up. I'm going to send it. I forgot to send the thing to the class so you guys can see the screen. Sorry about that. Okay, if you're sitting in a weird spot, I just shared my screen to the Chromebooks, okay? So, okay. Now we are going to use our properties of exponents to solve. I'm going to take this guy, and where am I allowed to stick it? In the front. So I'm going to go parentheses 9 minus 6x log of 10 equals log of 2/6, or whatever your number is there. All right. This is a weird looking number. When we have a weird looking number that's a coefficient in front of parentheses, we distribute it. So 9 log of 10 minus 6x log of 10 equals log of 2/6. And please make sure you're showing steps. If you magically get the answer and you haven't shown me your work, you're not getting credit for that. Okay? All right, I need to move this now, you guys, it looks weird and ugly, but this is Algebra 1 stuff. Okay, all I'm doing is getting my x by itself. It's a multi-step equation, 2 steps. Okay, how do I move this to the other side? I have 4 choices: add, subtract, multiply, divide. Subtract, it's right now positive. I got to move to the other side. I'm going to make it negative. So negative 6x log 10 stays on the left. And I have log of 2/6 minus 9 log 10. Okay. Whatchamacallit? So we have, I have to get the 6 and the log 10, which are both numbers, to the other side. Right now, it's under multiplication. How do I get it to the other side? What's the opposite of multiplication? Division, right? So I'm going to divide that to the other side. So x equals log of 2/6 minus 9 log 10 divided by negative 6 log 10. Okay, now we have to get that crazy mess into the calculator. Okay. Everybody got it? Okay, I'm going to move it over here so that I can see it when I try to type it into the calculator. Okay, so I'm using the Desmos Scientific. It doesn't matter if you're in degrees or radians. It does, because that's only really matters for trig. Okay. All right, so I am typing in. Let's see. Do they have a fraction button? There it is. Okay, I'm going to type the fraction button just to help me out. Okay. So I've got log, and in parentheses I'm going to do 2 divided by 6. I'm going to close that parentheses. Minus 9 log 10. And then on the bottom of my fraction, I'm going to do the negative 6 log of 10. So I get 1.5795, which means that I need to round it to 80. Okay. So 1.580. You may have had a different number because you had possibly different numbers on that. Okay. So x equals, and you didn't need to write the x equals part. I think I had it typed for you. You see it says x equals there. You don't need to type it here. Okay, because it marked it wrong if you did that, even if you had it right. 580. Okay, take a minute, write down what you did wrong. Okay, that's the next one we're going to do. I want to find something that will make sure I have this up there. Where is... Okay, maybe come back. All right. I want to show you something on Otis that I don't want you to ever use. Okay. See this button right here? You should not be using that in anything ever to type in. Okay. When we do multiplication symbols in Algebra 2, we just write the two things next to each other, right? Maybe a dot. We never use the multiplication x. Okay. I saw a lot of people using the multiplication x on this problem for some weird reason. All right, so you never, ever do not use that button. And it is not an x. See the difference? That's the x. That's the multiplication sign. Okay, so don't ever, you shouldn't really need to use any of the buttons in that column there. Okay, I just type. I don't bother using any of the buttons if I can type it with my keyboard. Okay, all right, so we are supposed to find the exact answer, which means no decimal point. It was the only one that was like that. Okay. All right. I got to condense it first. What does subtraction turn into? Division. So natural log of negative 2x over 4 equals 4. So this one was testing to see if you understood how to exponentiate. Remember that funny word, exponentiate? Because what's the only way to get rid of a natural log? Who's its friend? E. So I have to exponentiate both sides of the equation. So we get e to the natural log of negative 2x over 4 equals e to the 4th. What happens with the e and the natural log? Cancel. So I've got negative 2x over 4 equals e to the 4th. Those of us that did well on the problem, you didn't simplify, and that's where you got points marked off. It's assumed you're an algebra 2 trig. It's assumed you simplify your fractions. Okay, that's the rule this year. Okay, all right. How many times does 2 go into 4? 2 times, right? So we have. I'm going to leave the negative on the 2. So x over negative 2 equals e to the 4th. I am supposed to be solving for x. How do I move this to the other side? Multiply. So you get x equals negative 2 e to the 4th. You might have had slightly different numbers, but it was the same idea. That's it. That's all there was to it. Okay? Take a minute and write down what you did wrong. Okay. Looking, that's going to be our next one. So find that one on your page. So you've got logs on both sides. All right. The first thing I have to do is whenever I see an add or subtract between logs, I have to condense it. So when I have subtraction, what do I have to turn it into? Division. Do I have to give you a division one on the requiz tomorrow? Could I make it multiplication? Absolutely. Okay. So just because it's division and division, there were two division ones on this one, doesn't mean it'll be like that tomorrow. So you need to be prepared that it might be multiplication, which means that's a good idea to go back in and look at the review assignment and see if I had any multiplication ones there to practice. Okay. All right. So these get combined together into one log. So it's log base 8 of x minus 2 over 10 equals log base 8 of 2. I should see that step. I want to see your condensing step. Don't make the logs disappear until we've shown that you've condensed it. Now, this is the property where I've got a log on each side. I know that those logs can cancel because it would have to mean that what's in here and what's in here have to be equivalent. So x minus 2 over 10 equals 2. Now it's algebra 1, or I don't know, maybe that's not even algebra 1. Maybe that's like 7th or 8th grade math right there. How do I move the 10 to the other side? Multiply. So x minus 2 equals 2 times 10. What's 2 times 10? 20. Good. How do I take this 2 and move it to the other side? Add it. So x equals, what's 20 plus 2? 22. Okay. We're on our phones right now. You're basically telling me that you don't care about your grade in this class. I'm giving you basically the whole quiz, and you got to redo this tomorrow. Okay. So if we're paying attention to our phones and not paying attention to this, as your grade suffering. Okay. Write down what you did wrong. Okay. What you need to fix for tomorrow. Okay. This is the last one. There were lots of divisions on this one. Okay. So we are supposed to solve. We only have logs on one side. So it's a little bit different than the last one. But I still see a subtract or an add, right? Which means I need to condense first. So what does subtraction turn into? Division. So I would guess there's probably going to be a multiplication tomorrow somewhere. Okay, because this was a lot of division. Okay. The hard part about multiplication is it really easily turns into a quadratic, and I wasn't testing you on quadratics. So, all right. One log, one side. One log, one side, right? Means we log loop to solve. Because what I'm trying to solve is inside that logarithm, and I got to get it out. Okay. What's the base? 2. And then I loop these around. So I get 2 cubed equals x plus 2 over 6. All right, what's 2 cubed? 8. How do I move this 6 to the other side? Multiply. So what's 8 times 6? 48. Good. How do we move the 2 to the other side? Subtract. So we get x equals 46. Okay. Write down what you did wrong. What you need to fix.